Hello, 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 and welcome to the Texas Live. I am Shane Moore, and I will be here tonight with you discussing the synchronicity and numerology of 911. We'll talk about 911 as numbers and throughout history, and try to discover why these numbers and this date is so important to the occult elite. I will be taking your questions, comments, personal experiences via our live chat, or you can call in the show at 903-956-0055. Outside the U.S., just add +1 to that. We'll take a short break and allow listeners who want to join our live chat to do so. We'll be back in 3 minutes. And I am back. Anyway, tonight we'll be talking about the synchronicity and numerology of 911. Many of us, we recall on that day, 2001. It was a bad day. Very bad. And there were so many things that were going on that were veering us away from, it just seemed like it was unreal, just hard to process, to say the least. But we find that there's a lot more that took place on that date, 9/11, throughout history. And that's what I'm going to talk about and throughout history, and a lot of it's really surprising. Hey, Mona, for those of you that aren't regular listeners, Mona's my fiance. Hello, love you very much. Thank you for being here. But it's pretty incredible and a little unnerving at the same time. The date and how it is. It's just it's really hard to process, but that's what we're going to do tonight. Anyway, some things about some dates, or I should say years, events. There's talk about the numbers of the planes themselves that very strange, but we will get to that. And so anyway, we'll take a little time and give people a chance to join us, those who usually do. I hope everybody is doing well. It's been quite a while that, it's been about 5 days since I've did a podcast, so glad to be back. Anyway, now some people are starting to respond, so anyway. So, 9/11, my throat's a little bit hoarse. 9/11, what does the numbers 9/11 mean to you, besides the obvious? Both odd numbers, correct? And 9 is the last number of the single-digit numbers. 9 is the Tesla said if you only knew the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, you would hold the keys to the universe. Well, 9 is 3 plus 6. You have 9. And it's called vortex mathematics. And it is fascinating because 3 and 6 are seemingly they're in their own dimension, their own box. And 9 is even above 3 and 6. And all of the other numbers are lower numbers. They're separate in this vortex mathematics that Tesla was talking about in his veiled quote, 3, 6, and 9, about them being the key to the universe. But 9 is a very, very powerful number, if not the most powerful number of all. Then we have 11. 10 is, of course, 1 and 0. It's the first 2-digit number, but 11 is the first 2-digit number that equals more than 10. So that's somehow, some way, on a metaphysical level, 11 is a powerful number. 11 plus 11, 22. I'll get to that later. 22 is a very powerful number. And then add 11 to that, and 33. Very important number in magic and the occult. Yes, 11, 22, and 33. And the more that they are joined, the more that they're, if all three are joined, which that didn't happen, believe it or not, on one huge day in history, all three of those numbers were joined, 33, 22, and 11. So you have 33 plus 33, which is 66. And yeah, it's very powerful. Anyway, so not only is 11, 22, 33 powerful, but 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, and 99 is, they're all powerful. Hey, Patricia, glad you joined us. We're talking about 9/11 and numerology, occult numerology, used in different magic and different rituals, and how the synchronicity is just uncanny. Hey, Nazarene, glad you joined us, and I really want your feedback on what you feel about this, because it's really something worth talking about, and I have different theories about why it's so important, but I don't have any concrete answers. So I would appreciate your feedback and your ideas, comments on this. Now, let's go back to the tremendous instances where the 9 attacks occurred by the power of 11. Number 1, the first 11 is formed by the day on which this tragedy occurred, September 11th. Number 2, the second 11 is formed by adding the 9th month, September, and the date, 1 plus 1, forming another 11. The third 11 is formed by the airplane number that first crashed into the World Trade Tower. That plane was American Airlines flight number 11. Its call letters, or its flight letters, flight number was AA11. A is the first letter in the alphabet, so it was 1111. There's just 11s everywhere in this. The fourth 11 is formed by the airplane number that crashed into the Pentagon. That plane was United Airlines Flight 77. 11 times 7, 77. The fifth 11 is formed by the North Twin Tower of the World Trade Center. It was 110 stories tall. 11 times 10. The sixth 11 is formed by the South Twin Tower, the World Trade Center, was 110 stories tall. 11 times 10. The girders that set these towers, the girders of these towers were set 22 inches apart. 11 times 2. So, construction began in 1966. And when you add those together, when you add 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 6, it equals 22. 11 times 2. The first elevator sky shaft was set at the 44th floor, 11 times 4. The towers were 1,368 and 1,362 feet, respectively. 1,368 when added equals 18, or a 6 plus 6 plus 6. The 1,362 feet added equals 12, a 6 plus 6, another 11 times 6. The architecture of the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, the Twin Towers formed in 11 as they stood before the attack. You know, when you looked at the two towers, they, of course, looked like the number 11. The 8th 11 is formed by one of the doomed flights where the crew totaled 11. The 9th 11 is formed by the fact that September 11th is the 254th day of the year. When you add 2 plus 5 plus 4, you get 11. Okay, well, something that I found out in my research right after 9/11 was on September 11th, there's 111 days left in the year. 111, which is pretty amazing. And this says as much. The 10th 11 is formed because after September 11th, there are 111 days left in the year. So this is really, it's uncanny how this numerology just plays into it. The 11th 11 is formed by the historic fact that New York State was the 11th state to join the Union in preparation to create the 13th state confederation that would declare independence from England. This is really creepy. On September 11th, 1990, President George Bush Sr. delivered a speech to the Congress entitled Moving Toward a New World Order, precisely 11 years to the day after President Bush delivered this speech praising the New World Order and declaring it to be an inevitable fact. A mighty blow was struck to move the world finally into this global world system. Another of President Bush's infamous quotes also came from this Iraqi invasion of Kuwait when he said in August 1990 that this invasion shall not stand because it threatens the New World Order. Once the senior Bush introduced this term to the general public, everyone started using it. And he made that speech September 11th, 1990. That's not coincidence. That is not coincidence. And I'll explain that further. You'll see where it's not coincidence. Once the senior Bush introduced this term to the public, everyone started using it. Dan Quayle appeared on a great many television programs explaining this term and telling everyone what a wonderful concept it was. British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher and Gorbachev suddenly began using this term, a formerly very hidden term reserved only for the readers of select occult material. When President Bush visited New York City on September 16th, he was pictured with a firefighter who was wearing a helmet with the numbers 164, which when added together form an 11. Flight 11 had 92 people on board. 9 plus 2 equals 11. Flight 77 had 65 people on board. 6 plus 5 equals 11. During the crisis on Tuesday, kids in the area of the Twin Towers were moved to a safe school on 11th Street. The only operating ferry was number 11 on 33rd Street. President Bush ordered U.S. flags to be flown at half-staff during at half-staff under September 22nd, 11 times 2. This date means that the flags will fly at half-staff for 11 days after the attacks. So, then we get into the review of the use of 11 throughout history. Yeah, I agree, Patricia. It is insane. I mean, it is, and prepare to have your mind blown because it gets even deeper. I mean, there's definitely something that's been going on for a long time, and I believe that it is this new world order. I mean, it's like everyone that says new world order, they're automatically labeled a conspiracy theorist or whatever. You know, I don't care what people say about me. I really don't. I mean, because the proof is there. Something's going on. Something's going on. And when you speak truth, usually people attack you as a conspiracy theorist. You know, oh man, he or she, oh, they see everything, you know, behind everything. Well, you know, if it's true, it's true. And I didn't make up the term New World Order. President Bush did, you know, way back when, 1990. And I mean, watch the YouTube video of him making that speech, and it is creepy. I mean, very creepy. Look at his eyes. Look at his smile. I mean, it's like the devil. However you want to picture the devil, however you want to imagine the devil, it's like, wow, is this guy, I mean, is this a skit or is this for real? It was for real. You say, well, my sister was born on the 11th. My aunt and I were born on the same date, August 11th. And I hit Menarche. I hit Menarche at 11. This 11 has always been my lucky number, but this is crazy. August 11th, well, actually August 12th, August 11th, August 12th, very important days. I think I've talked to you about that before. Yeah, very important days. And, well, important day, I should say. Every 20 years, it's supposedly the earth opens in a time warp or something, and it's mentioned as far as the Philadelphia experiment went, or the Montauk Project, August 12th, 11th or 12th. Very important days. And when you look at August, you have 8, 11, 88. I don't know what 88 means, but we will move on, and you'll see just how strange this is, how weird. Startling review of use of 11 in history. Common themes: war, violence, and struggle. When the Illuminati ended the First World War, they had just successfully completed the first war of Albert Pike, and he's supposedly the father of Freemasonry. Occult plan to produce the Antichrist. The Antichrist. Now that doesn't necessarily mean, it just means against Christ, or against everything good. Because it doesn't matter if you believe in Christ or not, as far as this goes, those who don't believe in Christ, they do believe and they do agree that he taught good things. I mean, there's nothing bad that he taught. And, love each other, love God, and do unto others as you would have others to do unto you. So there's nothing bad about that. So why would you be against it? Unless you wanted to raise hell on earth. Says, thus they deliberately ended World War I on November the 11th at 11 a.m. 11/11/11. 11th month, 11th day, at the 11th hour. The signing of the armistice agreement was thus undergirded by 3 11s, 33, the number of a master mason in Freemasonry. When the Illuminati, and this is just an article that I'm going by, that I'm reading. The Illuminati, I don't really use that term. I would say the powers that be. When the powers that be assassinated President Kennedy, he was killed according to the occult number signature of 11. He was killed in the 11th month, November, on the 22nd day, and on the 33rd parallel. He was also killed in the Masonic Dealey Plaza, the most powerful secret society in the world today, to whom the number 11 is extremely important. Crazy, huh? The explorer Henry Hudson sailed into New York Harbor and discovered Manhattan Island and the Hudson River, the very location on which the Twin Towers were constructed on, you guessed it, September 11th, 1609. That is a long time ago. September 11th, 1609. Now, how many people knew that? Not many. Not many people would know that it goes back that far. Why is that? Because they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know, because if you do, then you may start waking up to what's going on around you. Again, construction officially began at the Pentagon. 60 years later to the day the Pentagon is attacked. The number 6 is an important number to the occultist. The number of man is 6. The number of man's perfect government is 66. And the number of the perfect leader of all time is 666. Now, this is just what this article says. Construction officially began at the Pentagon September 11th, 1941. 60 years later, it's attacked on September 11th, 2001. September 11th, 1972, the world was introduced to terrorism at the 1972 Munich Olympic Games. There were 121 participating countries. 11 times 11 equals 121. And 11 Israeli athletes were killed. Exactly 29 years. 2 plus 9 equals 11. After this terrorist horror ended, another more despicable horror occurred, the September 11th, 2001 terror attacks. September 11th, 1772, about 300 Indians and 50 British soldiers began the siege of Fort Henry. Researchers and historians of this siege are puzzled by the meaning of a comment in a document describing these events. It was recorded in a letter written by Lydia Kruger, and it seems a fitting comment to this section. She wrote, the siege commenced about sun, an hour high, Monday 11th, at all events the 11th. So there again, 11, 11, 11. On September 11th, 1776, a failed peace conference with the British was held. The war that had begun on April 19th, 1776, continued. After the fall of New York to the British, a peace conference was held between General Howe and three prominent representatives of the Continental Congress, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and Edward Rutledge. After taking the Americans' key city, Howe thought he was entitled to a peace settlement. The Americans, having declared independence in July, considered separation from England as non-negotiable. The conference of September 11, 1776, ended and the war continued for 7 years. September 11th, 1777, the first day the American flag was used in battle at the Battle of Brandywine. The British defeated the Americans led by George Washington, but Old Glory flew for the first time. September 11th, 1922. Despite Arab protests, a British mandate is proclaimed in Palestine on September 11th, 1922. The mandate came into effect at the end of September 1922. Not only was this proclamation made on September 11th, but the year formed 11 times 2. September 11th, 1941, the U.S. First Army crosses the border into German territory. Also, the Quebec Conference was held between England's Prime Minister, Winston Churchill. September 11th, 1973, Chilean President Salvador Allende is killed in a brutal, violent military coup led by General Augusto Pinochet. Henry Kissinger was strongly implicated in this attack, and if he were to ever stand trial in an international court, he would be charged with masterminding this coup and ordering the assassination of Allende. The latest Kissinger outrage. Why is a proven liar and wanted man in charge of the 9/11 investigation? That's by Christopher Hitchens, written November 27th, 2002. And that's true. I agree. Henry Kissinger, cannot travel to most countries because he is wanted internationally for all kinds of things. I mean, murder, assassinations. Yeah, the guy's powerful, very powerful, and they put him in charge of the 9/11 investigation. Very strange to me. Spiritual events on September 11th in history. Now, this is just, I believe Henry Kissinger is still alive. Matter of fact, let me Google that real quick. I know David Rockefeller died last year, I believe. He is still alive. He's 95 years old. I know that David Rockefeller died. David Rockefeller was 93, I believe. Yeah, he is not a good guy. I mean, just yeah, he is wanted, and well, there's several besides Henry Kissinger that are wanted that will not travel abroad that will not travel to some countries, a lot of countries. I'm not going to name any names because these people are still alive and hold tremendous power, but you can Google it and find their names. Let me see here. Henry Kissinger, War Crimes. In the words of Hitchens, Kissinger deserves prosecution for war crimes, for crimes against humanity, and for offenses against common or customary or international law, including conspiracy to commit murder, kidnap, and torture. He further calls him a stupendous liar with a remarkable memory. Kissinger is very, very, does not have a good track record. Not at all. Yes, very brutal, just heartless, I mean, if you want to call it that. Spiritual events on September 11th in history. Now, this is just, I'm just going to read this as it is. You make up your own mind if you believe it or not. It says, September 11th, 3 BC. Historian Dr. Ernest L. Martin, first article on the subject appeared in 1976, and in 1981 he published his research, The Birth of Christ Recalculated. In 1991, the book was released as The Star That Astonished the World. Dr. Martin revealed in his book that the signs in the sky on the night of Jesus' birth occurred on only one day in 3 BC, and they occurred exactly on September 11th, 3 BC, between 6:15 p.m. and 7:49 p.m. Yeah, so that's the cool thing about the stars is you can pretty much pinpoint any time, any date, and I think that's pretty amazing. September 11th, 3 BC. September 11th, 4000 BC, according to Hebrew Scriptures, September 11th, 1999, was the 6,000th anniversary of Adam's creation in year 1 on the Hebrew calendar. My only question about that is so was Adam created with a calendar, with a diary? I mean, come on. It's a little bit ridiculous if you ask me. Don't you find these two events on September 11th to be absolutely staggering when you realize it seems probable that God used September 11th twice in history to dramatically intervene in world affairs? Well, I'm not buying that. I don't adhere to the 6,000 year beginning of mankind's creation to begin with. I believe that history is a lot older than 6,000 years, and so I'm not even going to bother with that. Anyway, it says possible final startling use of the number of September 11th. Of all symbols of the Illuminati, none so boldly, clearly, and proudly shouts the final goal of the New World Order, the successful staging of the Antichrist, as does the unfinished pyramid symbol on the back of the American $1 bill. We'll quickly review the meaning behind this unfinished pyramid on our $1 bill, taken from seminar The America's Leadership of the New World Order. Patricia, a good question. You asked, there's no way to carbon date the atom thing, huh? No. And carbon dating is not really valid to begin with. There's been a lot of mistakes and everything that's been made in it, but my question is how do you explain the mountains and the granite that have footprints in them, like dinosaur footprints? Well, kind of throws your no dinosaurs mentioned in the Bible, kind of throws that into a tizzy. It doesn't make sense. And especially when you have human footprints next to dinosaur footprints. Wow, how do you explain that? You can't, according to the Bible. The Bible doesn't say anything about dinosaurs. It surely doesn't say anything about dinosaurs and man at the same time, but there's proof here on the planet that's a fact. Seems to be, if it's not something that's been fabricated, and I don't believe that it is. So, but the pyramid represents the past. Note that the capstone of the pyramid is not in place, thus denoting an unfinished situation. This unfinished situation was planned to remain in effect until the old world order was destroyed and replaced with the new world order. The term annuit coeptus means announcing the birth. Novus Ordo Seclorum simply means New World Order. The capstone, the Eye of Horus, theocracy of Egyptian mysticism. It says Eye of Satan or Lucifer. Well, okay, I've got another meaning for that. The Watcher, the Watchers, the 200 angels that God sent to Mount Hermon, Mount Shinar, Mount Sion, Sion, that saw human women and decided to come down off the mountain and breed with the human women and have children with them. And that's where the Nephilim come from. What these angels were a special class of angels, a special class of dimensional entity who were entrusted to watch over mankind, and make sure that mankind didn't destroy themselves, but they had other intentions. And so I think that the eye, the all-seeing eye, stands for the Watchers. And if you want to say Satan or Lucifer, so be it. But the Eye of Horus would say it's the Eye of Osiris, more than Horus. Actually, Horus is Osiris because Horus is the son of Osiris. So, and that's one thing that I keep finding over and over and over in this, seemingly drama, this play, this act. It's like a screenplay, and it's being played out just like a screenplay. And the creepy thing about it is they are absolutely fascinated and very, very concerned, if not worship, just flat out worship Osiris and Isis. of ancient Egypt. This you see the Great Pyramids, or the Great Pyramid with the two smaller pyramids. Those are set on Orion's belt, and ancient Egypt, Osiris, and Isis, very, very powerful. The United States, the founders, just about every Capitol building that you see, including the nation's capital, state capitals, government buildings, state buildings, they, just like the Statue of Liberty, people are like, oh, that's the Statue of Liberty. Well, have you noticed that when you look at the Statue of Liberty, correct me if I'm wrong, but her foot is shackled and chained. Does that represent freedom? I don't think so. She has 7 rays coming from her head, and that is, it's not other than Isis. It's Isis, plain and simple. On the Capitol Dome, that's not the goddess Columbia, for District of Columbia. That's Isis. And when it says out of many, one, it's not so much talking about out of many people there will be unity. It's also talking about out of the many appearances, or the many visual appearances of this goddess or god. It's all one. They're all the same goddess. And that goddess is Isis. The Roman numerals MDCCL XXVI on the bottom layer of stones, 1776. May 1st, Beltane, second high holy day of the year. On May 1st, 1776, a new world order was born when the Masters of the Illuminati was founded, whose foundation would be built upon depravity and rebellion. 13 layers to the pyramid. The number 13 is the occult number of depravity and rebellion. With these facts in mind, let me tell you what we know of the history of this symbol. Even though it was officially voted into creation by a meeting of Freemason Continental Congressmen in 1782, the symbol was hidden from public view for fear the American people would recognize it as being the satanic symbol it truly was. However, in 1935, the guiding spirit of President Roosevelt and Agriculture Secretary Wallace told them the time had arrived to put the symbol on the back of the $1 silver certificate, for the people had moved far, far away from their Christian roots and awareness of both the Bible and the wiles and strategies of Satan. I'm just reading this article, so just kind of bear with me. I mean, do I agree with everything here? No. But it does make a pretty good, it makes sense. I mean, and Wallace was Roosevelt's agriculture secretary, and he is the one that drew the image. So far so good. President Roosevelt approved the Great Seals, both the unfinished pyramid and the eagle, to be printed on the back of the $1 bill in 1935. The gap between 1935 and 2001 is 66 years. We have discovered from the U.S. Department of State website that the plates of the Great Seals was received at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing on July 26, 1935. We have not been able to discover the exact first printing date. However, June 26 is only 2.5 months before September 11, 1935. It says, if the first run of silver certificates with the unfinished pyramid proclaiming the New World Order occurred on September 11, 1935, the gap between this first run and the mighty blow struck to achieve the New World Order would be 66 years to the day. That's if. So, anyway, conclusion. We've revealed so many usages of the number 11 and of September 11th in past history, and the chances of all these occurrences being accidental is absolutely zero. The Illuminati absolutely adores the number 11 and is committed to September 11th as a date on which they have staged important dates in the past, dates critical to the global system of the coming Antichrist. One thing about the there's been pretty amazing, bad things happen on the 11th, not just September 11th, but on March 11th, forget what year it was when the tsunami hit Japan, the big one, that killed like 250,000 people and damaged Fukushima. That was 3/11. Right after 9/11, there was the subway bombings, and that was that happened exactly. I believe it was 100. Well, I'm not sure. I'll have to check on that. But it happened on, I believe it was, so many days after, and it was a derivative of 11. Very creepy, but it was to the day. And so we have different this just goes on and on and on. Let's see. American Airlines phone number 1-800-245-0999. All of those added together equal 47. 4 plus 7 is 11. The subway bombings were in Madrid, Spain. Matter of fact, I'm going to look that up now. That will give us the date. Yeah, give us the date of the okay, 2004. Okay. 2004, the explosions killed 193 people and injured around 2,000. So you take March, there again, 3/11. Take September 2001 to March 11th, and it's uncanny how the days. Let's see here, days. See, just bear with me, please. Okay. All right. It's 911 days between between the World Trade Center towers and the Madrid bombings. September 11th, 2001 to March 11th, 2004 is 911 days. 9/11. Go figure. Is that crazy or what? And let's see. Okay. Yeah. Well, Moni, you say that's crazy. Yeah, but that's when I heard that in 2004, I immediately started adding up the days, and I was shocked. I was like, wow, because it was March 11th, 3/11, and it was a terrorist attack. So, let's see here. Okay, the huge Japanese earthquake, or the 9.1 magnitude earthquake, took place on March 11th, 2011. So there you have 11. I mean, or if you want to add them, together. It's just uncanny how that is. Patricia, you say it definitely is. I asked if it was in New York because I was about to make a bad joke as to how they seem to have bad luck. Yeah, they do. They're a target, big time. So from I'm gonna do this. Find out. Okay. Days between 9/11/2001 and March 11th, 2011 is 3,468 days. Now, I don't know what that comes to, but anyway, it's very creepy that that was, 911 days to the day. A weather machine, possibly. There's people that say that Tesla had a machine that was able to create earthquakes. I don't doubt that. I mean, some people say that that's just a bunch of bull, and I don't know. I tend to believe it. Tesla was amazing. I mean, definitely a force to be reckoned with. So, that's. But the Madrid subway bombings, March 11th, 2004. Then the huge earthquake, tsunami, Fukushima being destroyed, same date, 2011. So, creepy. So anyway, we go back to the Flight 11 call letters were AA11, which 1111. The emergency telephone number for North America is 911. For any information we need on the telephone, we dial 411. And then it just goes on. This is something too. Exactly 1 year after the 9/11 attacks, the winning numbers drawn in the New York State Lottery for September 11th, 2002 were, get this, 911. This lottery is called Numbers and was broadcast live on television. 2002. So, exactly 1 year, I'm going to read that again. Exactly 1 year after the 9/11 attacks, the winning numbers drawn in the New York State Lottery for September 11th, 2002 were 911. This lottery is called Numbers and was broadcast live on television. On the morning of September 11th, 2002, the names of 2,801 victims were read at ground zero. 2 plus 8 plus 0 plus 1 is 11. So, and then 119 is the area code to Iraq, Iran. 1 plus 1 plus 9 equals 11. So that's just, yeah, exactly, Patricia. Some sort of sick joke. Well, it's sick. It's a joke to them, I guess. But it produces tremendous power. Because it's bloodshed. I mean, it's look at how much power was generated just by people's reaction to those buildings being attacked. And I'm sorry, but don't take this the wrong way, but when they said, okay, Osama bin Laden is guilty, I've kind of got a problem with that, because when George Bush Sr. is sitting next to Osama bin Laden's brother, Salam bin Laden, in a Carlisle group meeting, yes, in New York, just a few miles away from ground zero when the planes hit. Explain that. Oh yeah, they're very, very well acquainted, very good friends. They're sitting next to each other. The Carlisle group and the Bush family and the Bin Ladens are very, very good friends, very close. And yeah, so for them to say it was Osama that did this right after, there's very little, if any, investigation. But then what's completely crazy is don't go into Afghanistan. No, attack Iraq. What the hell did Iraq have to do with anything? Well, nothing. Nothing really. We just need the oil. And this is a way that we can get it, Just, yeah, we'll this is a way to open the door and just go in and do what we want to do and take what we want to take. Remember Pat Tillman? Was killed, friendly fire. Well, Mona, you say, why did they throw bin Laden under the bus? Well, I don't personally. They say that they went and they took care of bin Laden. Okay, well, someone like that, when he is responsible for when he's supposedly responsible for the greatest mass murder terrorist attack on American soil. I'm sorry, but you bring his body back by God and you show the American public you show them his sorry ass. I don't care who it is. I don't care what, protocols or what. You show his body. That's only just if he did mastermind that. But no. What do? They bury him at sea, which is against Islamic law. You just don't do that. So, did anybody see his body? Absolutely not. And why would they bury him at sea? In direct opposition to Islamic law. Well, they didn't want people to see his body because, he's Islamic and, they wanted to honor. But they bury him at sea? Are you serious? You want us to buy that? No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. So who's to say he's not still alive? Oh, well, we took him out and didn't want his body to become a pilgrimage site, so we just dumped him at sea. I don't buy that. That's BS. So unless there's proof that he's dead, that he was taken out, it just does not make sense to me. And a lot of other people, it doesn't make sense to either. And when you talk about Mona, when you talk about the solid friendship there, absolutely. So it's like they had to have a scapegoat. They had to have someone to blame it on. So then you have the weapons of mass destruction that Saddam Hussein supposedly had. Well, I'm not going to disagree that Saddam Hussein was a bad guy, but there he kept a lot of right. He kept a lot of bad guys in their place in Iraq, because everybody, they knew that if they screwed up, that if they committed a crime or whatever, that Saddam would literally, they would be hanging by the end of a rope. I mean, or fed to lions or whatever. Yeah, I mean, he was brutal, sadistic. But I read after they threw him under the bus, supposedly, because he was friends with Bush, with the Bush family. And then next thing you know, they're cleaning house. I mean, they clean house. And I'm not taking up for these, people like Gaddafi. I'm not taking up for anybody. But they were all at one time, they were friends with the Bush family. They were friends with, hell, I mean, you've got the, you have the, whatchamacallit, the, man, just lost it. The terrorist group from Afghanistan, supposedly Bin Laden's group. What's it called? I cannot think of the name. Anyway, they're in the White House. They're visiting the White House. They're being shown around. The Taliban. Being shown around the White House. There's pictures of it. Really? Well, after 9/11, it was like, well, nobody's our friend anymore. We need that oil. And Pat Tillman said that he was very, very, supposedly a very good soldier, very decorated, and was just awesome. And he said that he wrote a letter or something to his family, and he said, I thought that we were over here to fight terrorism. He said, I didn't know that we were over here guarding the opium fields, the poppy fields, and guarding the oil. And he was scheduled to leave and come back to the United States, where he was going to make it known that, hey, I'm over there. There's American soldiers over there that are guarding the poppy fields for heroin, and the oil. We're not fighting terrorism. We're, doing just the opposite. Well, 2 days later, he got killed in supposed friendly fire. And I believe he was shot in the back of the head. Clear message. Keep your mouth shut. To everybody else, that's a warning. Don't talk, or you'll wind up like him. And he was so high ranking, so popular, that if it could happen to him, it could happen to anybody. And so, lesson learned. But let's see. Patricia, you say, so why did they go against Islamic law? Did they essentially want to screw everyone within it over, or have they honored their views with someone else? No, that's just it. I don't think that they killed him. I don't think they did. I think that if they had have, that if they had have gone after him and they had have killed him, that they owed every family who had a loved one that died at the World Trade Center, if not the entire American public, they owed us that much to show us, yes, we got him. Show us the body. But did they show us the body? No. And think about this. They even showed Saddam's sons. They showed their dead bodies. We got them. Did they show Osama bin Laden's dead body? Supposedly the one who was responsible for the greatest terrorist attack ever. Hell no, they didn't. And in opposition to Islamic law, who says that you're to be buried on land, not at sea. They go against that and say, well, the reason we came back without the body is because we buried it at sea. We didn't want it to make it into a shrine for those that are crazy about him to worship. I'm not buying that. That is absolute, bullshit. Yes, I tell it like it is, and that's bullshit. When you have somebody who murdered, supposedly, 2,801 people, come on. Yeah, show us the body. Show us the body, or you didn't get him. And there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. They say that there was video from the SEALs that went in and got him. Have we seen the video? No, I don't think so. Why not? What could right, Mona. They could have burned his body after showing proof that it was him. Right. No shrine to worship. Yeah, it would have been taken care of. And it would have what they did is they created more questions, created more doubt. And let's face it, when you do something like that, you automatically you're not creating any trust. I guarantee you that. People aren't going to trust you. They're going to be like, what in the hell? I mean, this guy, they were after him for years. I mean, literally for years. They finally get him. And we don't even see the body. We see nothing. When I heard that, I was like, oh my God. This is like the worst thing that could ever take place. I mean, you're going to say that you buried him at sea, and you're not even going to give the coordinates where you dropped him at sea, So, do you have a video of dropping his body at sea? No. Hadn't seen anything. I don't know of anybody that has. We're just supposed to accept it because they said it. No, I'm not going to. Matter of fact, I'm so I guess callous now that even if I saw a video, I would seriously wonder if it had been altered, or if it was somebody else, or if it was a mannequin, or I mean, you just cannot be sure with today's technology. man, they can do anything. They can absolutely do anything. And so, is he dead? I don't know. They said that he was having, kidney failure and in really bad shape years ago. So the guy's probably dead. May have been dead before 9/11. Those, videos that he did send he made in caves, supposedly, those could have been made a long time ago and just filtered out, as supposedly new tapes or whatever, new, video, but I'm not buying it. And it's pretty telling that when every yes, exactly right, Mona. They said that he had multiple body doubles. Yep. So did Saddam. But there's actual video of Saddam hanging. It's really, really sad. I mean, was he a bad guy? Yeah, he's pretty bad. Do I want to see somebody, like, literally executed? No. But they had that video. They made sure that video got sent around. But the one responsible for the greatest attack on American soil, where's the video of him? Well, we don't have it. Didn't make one. Just dumped him at sea. Really ticks me off. Anyway, yeah, that's when every plane in this country was grounded, the only planes that were allowed in the air were for the bin Laden family, to protect them. All of the bin Ladens that were here at the time, yeah, every plane was grounded, but the only planes that were allowed to be, or planes that were allowed to fly, were to protect the bin Laden family. And I don't know how many of the bin Laden family were here. I know that his brother Salam was here because he was sitting next to George Bush Sr. So nobody could fly. Nobody. But the bin Ladens could. What does that say? I mean, really? Doesn't make sense, does it? And this was right after 9/11. This is right after it happened. I mean, same day. Everybody's grounded. And they're like, well, it was Osama bin Laden. In any terrorist attack, in any crime or whatever, you do not go public with who probably did it or who's guilty until you have them in custody, mainly because of that very thing. People are going to go after their family, or, you're going to have psychos that are going to say, well, if he's bad, then they're all bad, so let's just kill them all, You just don't do that unless it's fabricated, and you do it because you know that you're going to be able to protect them. What if they couldn't fly them? What if they were grounded? And everybody's like, okay, well, going to start, pulling Middle Eastern people and stuff and beating the hell out of them, for just because they're Middle Eastern. Oh man, what crazy. And then supposedly the White House had got multiple faxes saying that there was a an imminent terror attack on the World Trade Centers. They were ignored. I mean, so that's just that's one story. I mean, and there's endless stories, so nobody knows what the truth is anymore, and that's sad. Anyway, I'll take a short break. Be right back. So don't go anywhere. We'll take closing comments or whatever on 9/11, the numerology and the synchronicity. Be right back.
It'd be easier for me if I turn away to flee. Oh.
And I'm back. There's some more, if you can believe that, some more synchronicity. This is just, I don't know, kind of strange, but Trade Center has 11 letters, Skyscrapers 11 letters, New York City 11 letters, the Pentagon 11 letters, Afghanistan 11 letters, Muhammad, the prophet of the Muslim faith, died in 632 AD. Muhammad's birth is celebrated on the 11th day of the 9th month. 9/11. He was born in 632 AD. 6 plus 3 plus 2 equals 11. So his birth is celebrated on the 11th day of the 9th month, which is just incredible. I mean, can you believe that? Like I said, in the Brotherhood of Freemasonry, 33 is the highest obtainable degree. Twin Towers is 11, plus Flight 11, plus September 11th is 33. World War I, 11 letters. World War II, 11 letters. And then we come up to, it's creepy, very creepy. It comes up to predictive programming, what they call predictive programming. Films and television programs produced before 2001 that feature the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center or events similar to 9/11 were edited and re-airings on television shortly after the attacks. One such example is an episode of The Simpsons, The City of New York versus Homer Simpson, which originally aired on September 21st, 1997. The main setting of which is the World Trade Center. There's a scene in this episode where Bart Simpson is holding up a newspaper with an image of Twin Towers and the number 9. 9/11. And then there's one that I saw that has the Cookie Monster. And he's like tearing down the Twin Towers. The New York-based band Dream Theater released a live album scheduled Live Scenes from New York on September 11th, 2001, on the same day of the Trade Center attacks. The cover art depicted the Manhattan skyline, including the World Trade Center towers in flames. It was immediately recalled and the artwork altered. Now keep in mind that on September 11th, they were actually having drills of passenger planes, flying into skyscrapers. They were having like live drills, and that's why that when it actually happened, that NORAD was saying, what? I mean, is this real or is this part of the drill? And yeah, it really is a bad idea. But they're like, is this real or is it part of the drill? No, this is real, And it took them a while to figure out that it was real, which is probably the reason why the second plane hit or was allowed to hit. But NORAD was grounded. They weren't allowed to go up until after the second plane hit. Why is that? Pretty weird, you have to say. I mean, you have to admit that is pretty strange. Yeah, we're going to keep you grounded. They're like, hey, we can go up there and take care of this, Well, we're going to keep you grounded. Boom. Okay, you can go up now. Now that the other tower's hit. I don't know, I'm just, just how I see it. The music video for a song called Piece by Piece by British band Feeder was also changed. The original video depicted animated characters of the band playing in a New York skyscraper with the World Trade Center in the background and planes flying nearby. In the video, the band was portrayed jumping from the window of the building. So it says the list goes on, and it does. So why are there so many 11s showing up in connection to the September 11th event? Depends on how you look at it. What if we're focused on internally? What if what we are focused on internally is being mirrored in the external world at large? Then one's awareness of the 11s can simply be showing them this particular principle in action, while for others the 11s may form a pattern that points their attention to some truth that is hidden beneath the surface of events that took place on that day. I thought the same thing about the number 11 with the two ones basically mirroring each other. So that's definitely something to think about. But there's a lot more that took place as far as that predictive programming. And I can't really think of where, but I have seen there was it's like a mini series or some show that was on TV before 9/11 about the trade centers being hit. But what's really creepy is the people that talked about these men that were in black suits, like men in black, I don't know, that were going around and encouraging people to jump out of the windows. These are people that made it out, but they were saying that these creepy men in black were there in suits, and they were as calm as can be, and just encouraging people to jump out the window and jump out of windows and things. My question is, and I'm not taking anything away from this, I'm just speaking truth, is when you have a fire that is so hot that it is melting the steel. I mean, think about this, because I don't think many people do. When you have a fire that is so hot that it is melting the steel, and you have someone who is standing there where this fire is burning, and they're waving their arms, why aren't they burning up? It seems to me like that a fire that can melt steel, especially those, what were those beams, like, I don't know, like several inches thick, melted those beams? The beams are supposedly melting, and you've got somebody standing there waving their arms or waving their shirt or an article of clothing in that kind of heat. very strange. It just doesn't make sense. And then you have people that are jumping, and I'm not saying they didn't. So before you start sending me a bunch of, hateful messages and about, well, you said this, you said that. No, I didn't. What I'm saying is I find it very odd that in one of probably the most famous picture of the falling man, the man is falling, and his position is with his leg in up in like the number 4, which was the way that the Knights Templar were laid out when they died, or they were buried that way. And I mean, the guy is in perfect position, and truthfully, you can look the picture up, Google it, and you tell me next time. Is that a picture of a man falling? Could be. Could be. But could it be fake? I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not taking anything away from 9/11. Not at all. I'm just saying that if someone wanted to trick you or fool you or whatever, do you think that that's a way that they could do it? Mona, you say, why were they buried that way? They were laid out that way. I don't know exactly why, but maybe it's because it has something to do with the tarot. I don't know. Would really have to look at that and find out. But nevertheless, that was one of the ways that they were laid out, was their I don't know which leg it was, but it was placed where their foot was behind their knee, the opposing leg, and I think that their hands were crossed, their arms were crossed over their chest, and but I don't know why that was. The fatalities on the aircrafts, excluding the hijackers, included 76 passengers and 11 crew members aboard American Airlines Flight 11, 49 passengers and 11 crew members aboard United Airlines Flight 175, 53 passengers and 6 crew members aboard American Airlines Flight 77, and 33 passengers and 7 crew members aboard United Airlines Flight 93. So that's it's pretty strange, to say the least. But anyway, any comments, any questions? That's that number 11, and then March 11th. It's what is March 11th? It's, well, you take 3. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 is 9. So, might look up what happened in history on 6/11. Would be interesting if there were different things that happened on 6/11. I'm just going to look it up real quick. Let's see. Okay. Not really anything like March 11th or well, hold on. Okay, the Trojan War. Troy is sacked and burned. 1184 BC. 1144 AD. Basilica of St. Denis is dedicated near Paris, the first fully Gothic church. Alright, but still nothing, nothing that's anywhere near 311 or 911. Let's see. Okay. Okay, United States Declaration of Independence. 1776 Continental Congress creates committee. Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert R. Livingston to draft the Declaration of Independence. So that was on June 6th, 1776, to draft the Declaration of Independence. Wow, that's pretty big. Okay, let's see what else. Alright, I don't really see anything else. Just going through this real quick. Okay. No, nothing else. Okay. Let's see, Trish, you say, is there specific image searches we should look up? I mean, you mentioned looking at certain images and making our judgments, but I wasn't sure what they were exactly. Mona, you said, I looked up Falling Man 9/11, came across a woman that jumped in the same position but upright. She looked like a dummy, not real. Right. And that's exactly what I'm saying is look up Falling Man 9/11 or Falling People 9/11, and you tell me, just like Mona said, came across a woman that jumped in the same position but upright. It's the same position, and if you look at it, it's like it's the same picture, it's just upside down. And it's like it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's like they have been postured and, I don't know, thrown out a window or something. And I'm not saying people did not jump. I'm just saying that those pictures, you make up your own mind if those are real people or mannequins, or, I mean, it's very, very weird. Very strange. Anyway, well, we're at the end here, so going to call it a night. And but yeah, just you look up the different things. Also, look up the cars. Look up cars engine blocks melted blocks away. That right. So there's one I found that looks like a weird dive in like a V shape with his arms behind his head. Yes. And then there's the one that I'm talking about. The guy's upside down, or person's upside down with their leg crossed and one leg straight. And it's just uncanny how that is. I mean, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's very strange. It just doesn't look real. I mean, it looks like a mannequin has been thrown out a window or something, or a test dummy or something like that. It may be real. I have no idea, but it's very, very strange. But look up the cars that right, that's it. The guy with the white shirt, black pants. Yep. And there are cars that are at, I think they're at an airport or something. Pretty like 3 blocks away, or they're in some parking lot. I'll have to figure out what it is. I just not thought about that. But right, like, how could anyone jump like that out of a building? Yeah, I mean, you certainly wouldn't be in that position, I wouldn't think. I mean, I think you would be like flailing your arms and your legs, and you wouldn't be in that perfect position. It just doesn't make sense to me. But these cars, they are melted. I mean, their engine blocks are completely melted, and it's like, what? How did these cars melt? I mean, tires, everything is melted. And it's like, how does that happen? Because you can't very well say, well, it's because the heat was so intense from the buildings that it, melted cars 3 blocks away. Now, that really is, that really suggests that there was some kind of scalar weaponry or technology used, which Tesla talked about scalar weapons and how it could turn buildings into dust. Hello? What happened? Yeah, the buildings were, I mean, you saw it turn to dust. Okay, get this. Building number 1 fell in 9 seconds. Building number 2 fell in 11 seconds. Yep. It's just nonstop. But scalar weaponry, it's pretty creepy, because it's so powerful. And like Tesla said, he said he claimed that he could put a handheld device onto a building, skyscraper or whatever, and turn it on, and it would pick up the resonance of that building and bring it down. Just, I don't know. Very, very weird. Pretty scary, too. But anyway. Well, anyway, we're at the 2-hour mark, so I'm going to call it a night here. Thank you, Mona. Thank you, Patricia, Nazreen, for being here and taking part. Love and light to y'all. Love you all. Good night from Texas. See you next time.